to Smart Sessions from Smart Interviews. I hope you are doing great. So today you are going to learn a medium level linked list problem from LeetCode. The problem name is remove zero sum consecutive nodes from linked list. You can find this link in description. Before you watch this video, I suggest you to pause it, try some solution, then watch the remaining part. Right? Okay, let's go through the problem statement. So here you are given head of a linked list and you need to delete consecutive sequence of nodes that sum to 0 until there are no such sequences. So this is the problem statement. Let's go through an example to understand it better. So here you are given this example. In this example, if you take this sequence, this is a consecutive sequence. What is the sum of it? 1 plus 2 plus minus 3 is 0. Now, if you remove it, you will be left with 3 and 1. Does this contain sum 0? No. So can I say this can be my output? Yes. So there is other way of doing it. Here, if you remove this minus 3 and 3, then also you will be left with 1 to 1, which can be an output. So here, there is no restriction on output. Only thing that you need to do is, you have to delete all consecutive sequences that sum up to 0. Alright? Yes. So let's look at one more example. Third example. So here, this is the sequence. In this, if you take this, the sum of this is 0. You have to remove it. Once you remove it, you'll have 1, 2 and minus 2. Does 1, 2, minus 2 contain any sequence that will give sum 0? Yes. 2 and minus 2 will still give you 0. So if I remove this entire part, can I say I have an array which will not contain any consecutive sequence which will contain 0? Yes. So 1 is your output. So to make it more understandable, let us try a good example. Okay. So here, let me take some example like 1, 2, 3, minus 3, 4 over here, 5, maybe 7, minus 5, 7 and some 20. Okay. This is your example. You are given this list. Let's name it as list 1. Now, in this, can you tell me what should be my final output? I cannot have this 3 and minus 3 because this will sum up to 0. I cannot have this. So let me remove this. After removing it, can I call this thing as my output? No, I cannot call it. Why? Because you still have some sequences which will sum up to 0. What are those? If you take this 5, 7, minus 5 and 7, what is the sum of it? Just a second. This is minus 7. If you take this sequence, what is the output of it? This 5 minus 5 get cancelled, 7 and minus 7 get cancelled and this sum is 0. You still need to remove this. Alright. If I remove this part as well, I'll be left with 1, 2, 4 and 20. Now, can I call this my final output? Absolutely, you can call it as a final output because this will not contain any sequence which will sum up to 0. Right. Now, let us see how to solve this question. Let's move this to the top over here. Alright, now. You clearly understood. Here, I got sum as 0. That means here I am maintaining a variable, right, which will tell whenever a sum becomes 0. Alright. So let's start the tracing process. Here, let's take sum equals to 0 initially. And you are currently over here at the head of the linked list. Now, when you are at this, you will add this value to the sum. What will happen to sum now? Sum will become 1. Now, you are here. When you are here, you will add this value and sum will become 1 plus 2, which is 3. Next time you are here, again you will add this. So what will happen to sum? Sum will become 6. Next time you are here, you will subtract it and sum will become 6 minus 3, 3. Next time, 3 plus 4, which is 7. Next time, 7 plus 5, 12. Now you are going to add 7 to it, which will give us 19. Now you will remove minus 5. If you remove minus 5, you are going to get 14. From here you will remove 7, which will give you 7. Now at last you will add 20. What will you get? You are going to get 27. Now, did I ever get 0? I didn't get 0. What's the meaning of it? That means there is no consecutive sequence starting with 1 which will contain 0. So I should definitely have this in my final output. Now what I'll do is, I'll store my 1 and whatever comes, I am going to attach it to 1. That means this time I have to start with which node? Right, the next node. That is this. That is this 2. Right. Now, can you tell me which programming technique will be helpful here? Exactly, recursion, because you are doing something repetitively, a recursive task. So here, you did with 1 and you haven't found any sequence. Now you have to do the same process with 2. Alright, let's start with 2 and sum with 0. Now, when you are at 2, your sum will become 2. Now 3, if you add 3, this will be 2 plus 3, 5. And 5 minus 3 is 2. If you add 4, this will become 6. And if you add 5, 6 plus 5, 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. 18 minus 5 is 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. And 6 plus 20 is 26. Did I ever encounter 0? No. That means, can I have this in my final list? You can have it. So what will you do? Next time you are going to start the process from next node with the help of recursion. So here, this time you will start this as a head. So you have to attach 2 and you have to wait for the next node. Now you are at 3 and sum is 0. If you add 3, this will become 3. Now, if you go here, if you add it, what will happen to sum? Right, sum became 0. That means you encountered a consecutive sequence which gave you sum equals to 0. Now, that means this is the starting point and this is a point where you encountered 0. So, should you have this in your list? I cannot have this in my final list anymore. So, I have to delete this entire part. 2 is there in your list and you have to attach something to it. Can you attach anything from this part? I cannot attach anything from this part. So, what should you return back? Exactly, you have to attach this back. So, you are here. Let's name this as something like temp. Now, we are going to attach temp dot next to it. So, your list will be something like this. Minus 7 and 20. In this way, you successfully removed this part from the sequence. But am I done with it? Is this your final output? Still no. What is left? You haven't deleted this sequence. So what should be done? Again, you have to repeat the process from the beginning. You have to start it from 1. Alright. Now, how will I have to start it again? Something should tell me, right? You have to again start from beginning because there are still some sequences. So for that, what I'll do is, I'll simply take some flag, some boolean flag. Okay. Let me take a flag and I'll initialize it to false. Now, when I deleted this, I'll change it back to true. And I will return this as a head. I returned this as a head and the flag value is true. What is the meaning of it? That means you are not sure if there are any such sequences that you have to delete further. You are not sure about it. So what you have to do? You have to repeat the same process again with this and again you have to pass your flag as false. Clear? So this is what we are going to do. If we do this, what will happen? We'll trace it again. So you are here and your sum variable is 0. When you are here, sum will become 1. Now next time, when you are here, sum will be 3. You are here, sum will be 7. When you are here, sum will become 12. Sum will be something like 90. If you do minus 5, this is 14. Minus 7, this is 7. If you add plus 20, this will become 27. So that means this should be there in your final list because you haven't encountered 0 at least once. So 1 will be there and you have to start the same process from here. Okay, and again sum will become 0. Now when you see 2, sum will be 2 and here sum will become 6. Here it is 11 and here it is 18 and here it is 13 and this is 6 and this is 26. Now we haven't encountered 0 at least once. So what is the meaning of it? This should be there in my list. So 2 will be sent back and you will start the same process from this 4. Sum is 0. Now if you add 4 to it, this will be 4. If you add 5, 9. Add 7, this will be 16. Delete 5 from it. If you delete it, it will be 11. Now you have to remove your minus 7 from it. If you delete 7 from this, you'll get 4. Now you will add 20. This is 24. You never encountered a 0. That means this should be there in your list. So 4 is there. From 4, now you will make your next function call with this 5 using recursion. Alright, now again start your sum with 0. Your sum will become 5. When you are here, your sum is 5 plus 7, which is 12. Now you subtract 5 from it. This will be back to 7 and now you subtract 7 from it. 7 minus 7 is 0. You encountered your 0. That means this is the starting point and this is the ending point. This is a consecutive sequence in which you got sum equals to 0. Should you have it in your final list now? I cannot have it in my final list. So what will I do? I have to remove this. So that means for this 5, for this 4, what will I return back? I have to return the next point, which is, if this is temp, this is temp dot next. Now you are going to, just a second, temp next. You are going to return your 20 back. And this list will be sent back. Alright. When you deleted this, when the deletion happened, when the sum became 0, this flag changed from false to true. Alright. Now, since the flag is true, you still have to continue the process. You don't know if something is there in this. So what you will do? Again change your flag back to false. And this time start from this. We'll do it quickly enough. Sum equals to 0. Alright, when you add this, sum will become 1. This time it is 3 plus 4, 7. Now 7 plus 20 is 27. You never encountered a 0. So 1 is there in your list. Now you will start your function call from 2. Again sum is 0. Now 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 20 is 26. You never encountered a 0. So this is 2. Now start the same process from 4. If you add 4 to it, this is 4. Next time add 20 to it, it is 24. You haven't encountered a 0, so 4 will be attached. Next time you'll start with sum 0 and node as 20. If you add it 20, you reached null. That means your sum is still 20. So did you encounter a 0? No. You have to attach your 20 back. This time your flag is still false and you return this back to your function. What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of flag being false? No deletion happened in this time, in this recursive call. If no deletion happened, that means there is no such sequence. So can I say this is my final output? I can say this is my final output. So this is what we have to do. I hope you are clear with the explanation part. Okay. So let us do one thing. Let's write a sample code so that it will become simple for you. So here what we are trying to do is, we took a flag variable and initialized it to false. And we are using some function, right? Let's name that function as maybe removal function. To it, what will you start? You are starting with head and you are passing your flag. So whatever you get, just put it in head. Okay, when will we repeat this process? When will we keep on calling this? You are going to keep on calling whenever flag is true. When will you stop? If your flag becomes false even after this function, that means there is nothing to delete. Then only you'll stop. So let's write that condition here. If flag is still false even after this function call, that means there is nothing to do. You can stop here. That is what you can do. Okay? Yeah. I hope you are clear with it, and we'll start with the code part. Based on the explanation part, just try to code it out on your own. All. See. So here, as we discussed, what are we doing? We are going to declare a flag variable and initialize it to false. Now, you are going to call some function called removal, and you will pass your head and flag variable. Okay. Now, you are going to repeat this process if your flag is still true. When will you stop? If your flag becomes false, you are going to stop. If not, you will continue this. When I say you are continuing this, that means isn't it a loop? Isn't this a loop? It is a loop. So let us try to wrap it around a loop. Okay. So while until which point will you do? Until some true condition, you are going to repeat it. So I'll just write it as while true, you are going to do the same process. Alright. Now, when it is false, what will you do? You are going to break here. You are going to stop. Let us quickly write down removal code. Okay. List node removal. What are you passing to it? You are passing head of it, along with it a boolean flag. You have to pass it as a reference. Why? Because that flag value will decide whether you have to repeat this process or not. Okay. In this function, the flag is going to change, so pass it as a reference. Now here inside it, what will we do? We'll do one thing. We'll indent it properly. Right. So inside this part, a simple base condition will be if your head ever becomes null, what will you do? Just return head back. Otherwise, the next process is you're going to take some temporary variable and initialize it to head. And you will take some sum equals to 0. What's the next step? While your temp is not equals to null, every time you are going to add what to the sum value? You are going to add that node value, which is temp value. Okay. After doing this part, if your sum becomes 0, what is the meaning of it? That means you encountered a sequence which gave you sum equals to 0. So you have to return that next value. So simply write return temp next. But you also have to do one thing. Whenever sum becomes 0, you have to change your flag to true. Correct. If this doesn't happen, what should you do? Just move your temp a step every time. Temp equals to temp next. Okay. This is what you'll do here. Now, next step is, once you reach here, you have to attach your head dot next to. See, if you haven't written anything from here, what should you do? That means there is no sequence starting with that node. So you have to start with next node. And you're going to attach it to that current head node. So head dot next equals to, you'll call this function removal. And to it you will pass head dot next, because you're going to start with the next node and your flag variable. Once the process is done, just return your head back. So this is how your code will look like. At last, you return your head, right? All right. Let's run the code now. Okay, your code got accepted. So I'll just walk you through this code once. So here what are we doing? We are declaring a flag variable initially, and we are calling the removal function to remove first consecutive sequence in the entire list. Okay, and you will return your head back. Okay, so this is what we have to do. Let's submit it. Alright, it got accepted. Okay, so just try this code, trace it using pen and paper. It will become much more clear for you. Okay guys, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for more such content.